Hey, John, we got a comment. I'm 50. I have saved nothing. I'm terrified. What do we have to say to that person? Hi, I'm Bridget Sullivan-Ramel, and I've got a fee-only financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois.
And I'm John Shearer. I've got a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin. Before we dig into how we deal with somebody who hasn't done any saving yet for retirement, I want to just remind everybody, hit that subscribe button, help other people find this content on YouTube. And I love this conversation, Bridget, about, what happens. We have a previous episode that talked about a similar thing. Hey, I haven't saved very much for retirement. I can't even get there. And we'll put a link in the show notes to that last episode, but it's no, mathematically you can't, right? There's the math works out that we can, and of course I'm really good at doing the math and go, well, here, listen, just, follow the rules and it works, right? But then there's the practical side of, hey, I haven't done any of this before. And, somebody else maybe can do that, but I can't do it. I'm lost. Right. And that's, how do you deal with that? And I really love your approach on helping people to take action and be engaged. And so looking forward to today's conversation.
Yeah. And so to the people that are in this situation, and there's a lot of them, there are a lot of them. My first thing is, congratulations on taking responsibility and saying how you're feeling about it.
Yeah.
I'm terrified. Like, that's like labeling that emotion and is the first big step. Okay. The second thing I would say is you're gonna, my suggestion is that you'll be better off if you start engaging with this. So some comments that we get are, nobody told me that it was going to be this way. And okay, now you know.
Yeah.
That's too bad that you're just realizing that you need to save for retirement now, but now you know. Now, that might even sound a little snarky, but I have found that people aren't really very good at thinking more than 2 years in advance, and maybe 5 years in advance, and some people maybe 10. So it's not even that weird to be in that comment about nobody told me it was going to be like this. It's like, oh, okay, so now I'm 50. Now I can see I'm going to be 70 because I was 30, and so, and I'm going to be, and now I know what comes along with this because I have parents or relatives that got older, and so it's coming together for me.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It just, my 2 cents is like, it's not, you're welcome to a lot of people. Sure, other people are more prepared, but that's okay. Just here's where you are.
Yeah. I love that concept, and it really rang home. I hadn't heard you say that before, just about it becomes real, right? And it reminded me, I don't know if it was Satchel Paige, I don't know who said this, but some quote about, well, if I'd known I was going to live this long, I'd have taken better care of myself,
Right.
From a health standpoint. You think, hey, when you're 30, nothing can ever happen. Then you get to be 50 and you go, hang on a second, I might be around here for a while. I better take care of myself, sort of thing. And I think it applies to our money, our financial lives too. And the other thing that I thought of as you were describing things here was just that idea of, I don't know if shame is the right word, but
No,
self-flagellation, like, oh,
right.
I should have done more, I should have done better, I should have, I got a friend that says, don't shit on yourself. And right, it's one of these things like, well, yeah, maybe, but it's not like you were just a complete, nincompoop and didn't think like, oh, I was, walked off the ledge and kept on walking off the ledge. Like, no, it seemed like it was so far down the road. You can't even conceptualize what retirement looks like when you're 30 or even 40 and you're raising kids, maybe you're doing, and it's just, it's not, I think it can be really easy to get down on yourself. I know I certainly do that as I compare myself maybe to other people or what my perception of what I should have done is. And you go like, no, hang on a second, right? You just said it at the end. You are where you are. All right, cool. Right. Here's the deal. Now I can't change the past. Now I can take action. Right. And that empowerment.
Right.
And then again, for me, I run back to the numbers, say, watch that last episode that we did talk about. Hey, the numbers can work out, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yeah,
you can do it.
Numbers can work out.
Yeah.
And so the other thing but sometimes, and I think this might be 20% of the people, they have not saved any money, but they can't save any money, and you cannot talk them into being able to save any money. They cannot possibly figure out that they can't save any money, like how to do this. Or maybe they save a little bit, but then they have to spend it. So that situation, I think a lot of financial advisors just want to ignore that, or like just exile that entire situation. And I take a different approach, and at least how I see it. I think it's your basic compulsive or addictive behavior applied to money. Because every time I buy something, I get a little, yay, I have a little hope when it's on its way. I have a little pleasure. When I was a kid, I always wanted to get presents in the mail. So it's like my little present in the mail, and then I have to deal with all the returns and all that. But a lot of people just don't ever return anything. That's not me. But yeah, so it's like this whole process of something that I like, and that brings me a lot of pleasure. So I get how it could be totally addictive, or maybe I spend X amount so that my credit card gets up to X, Y amount, and then I can't save. That's what I've heard before. I can't save then. And it's similar, or I have these emergencies, my pet, my back, I need, the insurance isn't covering this, that, or the other thing. So, there's just a sense of not being able to handle emergencies, or not understanding the way life works, is that there's always going to be this 10% of emergencies, and you just have to kind of account for that in your budget. There's always going to be comes up, and by the time you're 50, though, I think people kind of get it, but then sometimes they have more emergencies when they're older, because they've got complicated lives. So that's one of the things I wanted to bring up, is that it's like, it could be that it's just addictive behavior.
Yeah. And you think about those things, and we take any other addictive behavior, alcohol or drugs or things, and you go, well, geez, just stop. Well, that's not how it works, right? That's not how our brains work. That's not how we're wired. And it can feel to some folks, I think, like, well, alcoholism, yep, that's everybody kind of agrees that it's accepted these days anyway. It wasn't 50 years ago, but now it's accepted. Like, no, that's not just, it's not like you're weak, or these sort of no willpower and all that. Like, no, there's a thing going on chemically in the brain, right? And I think that the same thing can occur, just exactly as you said. And spending is one of those dopamine hits, right? And those are the things that can cause those. And just to be, and again, I go back to being less harsh on yourself and those sort of things. Like, hey, there's ways that folks stop drinking and stop using drugs. And if that's where you find yourself in that situation, there are ways that you can do this. And it's not a sign of weakness or character defect or something like this. It's like, no, that's just how you're wired. And okay, great. How do we deal with it? How do I take action and be intentional now? And you can only control what's going on right now, right? And what's going to happen going forward, and to take agency in doing that.
Yeah, like I'm in control, like to the extent that I can control life. Life I can't control, but I'm taking action. So I have 3 suggestions for actions that you can take. One suggestion I have is Debtors Anonymous. Free. Got a lot of people that have that same issue. I've tried to stop spending myself, but I can't. And probably I feel bad. I feel horrible when I can't, stop spending.
Right.
And the consequences. Okay, so that's one option. Another option is Dave Ramsey. Wow, he's popular, isn't he? Why? Because a lot of people have this problem.
Right.
And I would say he's got a more cognitive behavior approach of just stop making excuses, stop. And a lot of examples for how to stop. Okay. And then a third suggestion I have is Barbara Stanny. She wrote a book called Overcoming Under Earning, and several other. And another recent one is called Rewired for Wealth, that she really talks about rewiring your brain to focus. She focuses on women, particularly women who are making a decent amount of money, but seem to have not been able to save anything. But both of those and Debtors, all those three have programs that'll help you walk through it. And I'm most familiar with Barbara Stanny's work, and she really gets into the emotions that are underneath it all. Like, where did I come up with these crazy beliefs that I really aren't okay? I can't save. I'm not worth it. All kinds of negative messages that you might have developed, but might feel good to ditch those. It might feel a
Yeah.
lot better if you just ditch that stuff and start being more positive and taking action.
Yes, three great resources there. And it's interesting, just as we talk through this, right, that it's there are some really emotionally charged things in our lives, and money can be one of those, right? And I just had the thought that, most people don't get emotionally attached to what kind of toast they make in the morning, or, the trees that they happen to plant, or not at that level, right? And you think, oh, well, geez, I can plant a tree, I can make my toast, I should be able to save because it's just logical. And, and like, no, that's not how we are with things, right? It is. And to be able to accept that. And there are some things you can do about that, right, to address that issue. So we got that factual, yep, you can do this. And then, all right, how do you, there are ways that you can help. I love those three resources. We'll put some links in the show notes for that. And I think that's a great way to wrap up the discussion about the emotions and saving for retirement. I'm John Shear again. I run a fee-only financial planning practice in Middleton, Wisconsin.
And I'm Bridget Sullivan-Ramal. I've got a fee-only financial planning practice in Chicago, Illinois. John and I are both proud members of the Alliance of Comprehensive Planners, which is a group of fee-only, comprehensive, tax-focused financial planners that are all over the country. If we're both taking clients, but if you want to get hooked up with somebody that's in your area, you can check out acplanners.org.
And don't forget, hit that subscribe button.